Welcome. So here we are, we're in Module 5. And in Module 5, we've got the same database that we've been dealing with previously. I've got a total of 5 tables, and I've gone to the Database Tools ribbon and clicked on Relationships, and if I didn't have that open, this would be functional. I can go ahead and open it up. Now, in this ribbon, the sub-ribbon of Database Tools, this is Design View, so we can design the relationships. And it's a graphical representation of the different relationships that exist within the small database that we have. You know, some databases could have dozens of tables, and the table could have dozens of fields in it. So these relationships can at times get very complex. Now, with that said, we can hide a table, we could show a table. Easiest way, I'll just go ahead and right click, show table, and it gives me an option here of any of the tables that we want to choose to add to our relationships. We're not limited to just tables. We could look and have a relationship between a query and a table, or tables and queries. I can add one by highlighting it, put focus on it, click add, or just double click it and click close. So with that said, there's our relationships. If I want to access a specific relationship, now let's assume one has not yet been created. I'll put focus on the key that's going to be involved in this relationship, and the relationships involve a primary key, foreign key relationship. So it's a primary key here, foreign key in course section. Let's assume this is not here. I just double click it. It'll open up. I say I want to create a new one. And then I dictate which or select which tables are going to be involved and the specific fields that create this relationship. And I click OK. It'd be there, and then I can enforce the integrity. And I've got a couple of options here that we haven't dealt with before. The first one is Cascade update related fields. What that means is, let's say I change the name of a field. Well, that will cascade update to the other table. So changes that I make in one will be reflected in the other. If I change the course ID from 5 to 9, not something I would do, but if I decided to do that, it would be reflective on the other tables if I forced that update by selecting this checkbox. Now, let's say that for whatever reason, now I wouldn't do this, but let's say that I wanted to delete Jim's record from my database. I no longer wanted to keep his data. Purge him from the system, if you will. When I delete him, that will cascade delete records. So anything that he was associated with would then be deleted. So those are powerful tools. And when it comes to deleting data, it's very rare that I delete data because I've taken so much time and spent so many resources to acquire it and keep it, so that once that data is gone, you can no longer ask questions associated with what was there. Now, there are times when I would delete data, and that's usually when I know that that data is not reliable or corrupts the integrity of the information I'm deriving from my database. So here's where we could create our relationships. But if I want to edit a relationship in some way, maybe check one of those checkboxes. I just double click on the line and I could go in and check or uncheck any of these fields. Okay. So what kind of join is it? Now the join is that relationship between the two. Only include rows where joined fields from both tables are equal. Include all records from course and only those records from course selection where the joined fields are equal. Include all records from course selection and only those records from course where the joined fields are equal. So there's the three different options. I would stick with the top. There may be an instance when we may want to go with one of the other two. Okay, so I can modify the joins here, modify the relationships here. And there's what we've got. And we could drag these things around to pretty them up however we want, but it's just a visible or visual representation of our database structure. Okay, so we've got a couple other things that we're going to talk about. Briefly, the home ribbon, create ribbon, I'm sorry. We've gone through tables, queries, forms, and reports already. That only leaves us templates and macros and code. So when it comes to templates, I can change the layout that I have here. When it's a template to a form or a message box that pops up, different layouts, if you will. And here's different ways that I could start things up. Now, that's one kind of template. I'll show you another one in a second. While we're here, let's talk about macros and code. This is not the only place you'll see macro or coding with modules, class modules, or running some VB code. We don't see VB so much anymore, but we do see it in Microsoft Access. So these macros, you can go create a macro in here that will, I guess the way to word it is, it will do work for you. You create a little script that will perform some task. Let me go through and write out or create whatever that action that you want to have take place is. It's not the only place that we'll see macros. We could see macros in a query. We could see macros in a form. We could see macros in reports. So the macros, think of them as little scripts that will perform a task or do some work for you. Maybe answer a question for you differently than a query. Okay. If I wanted a drop-down box to give the user a choice of existing faculty members to choose for a course, I could write a macro that will populate that drop-down menu with the results of a query of all faculty members. There's an option when it comes to macros. I come over to File. I can say New Database. It could be a blank database or a templated database. So I'm not limited to templates just in a template for form, template for different actions or interfaces, but the database as a whole. And with these templates, they come with forms, reports, queries already built in for us. So there's our different options we're going through this week when it comes to templates and the macros, the coding aspect of it. I have other videos there for you, and we've got the exercises in the labs. Okay. Let me know if we run into any issues, any problems, any concerns, what works, what doesn't work. We're always growing. Okay, I'll see you in the next module, Module 6.